Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bible in a Year, making it easier to understand. Thanks so much for joining us today.
We're all about reflecting the timeless truth of the Bible through the lens of today's world, making it relatable, understandable, and alive for your everyday life.
We're excited to dive into today's verses with fresh insights. Let's jump right in. And we are back. Grab your coffee or maybe your tea if you're feeling more ancient world today, because we are diving straight into the deep end of Genesis 45 and 46.
We're not just diving, Steph. We are loading up the wagons. Honestly, if this were a movie, this would be the scene where the screen goes from dusty sepia tones to full-blown Technicolor. Imagine the scene. The brothers have just found out Joseph is alive, and now they have to go back and tell Dad.
Can you even imagine that car ride home? The brothers are probably arguing the whole way. Actually, the Bible even says Joseph told them, "Do not quarrel on the way." He knew them too well. Hey guys, maybe don't mention the whole selling me into slavery thing just yet. Let's focus on the he's a billionaire in Egypt part.
Exactly. It's like the ultimate "I told you so," but they're all in on it. But here's the kicker. They get back to Canaan. They tell Jacob, Joseph is still alive, and he is ruler over all the land of Egypt. And the text says Jacob's heart, well, he was stunned. He didn't believe them. And honestly, can you blame him? These are the same guys who brought him a bloody coat 20 years ago.
Right, he's thinking, I've been grieving for 2 decades, and now you're telling me this? Is this another cruel joke? But then, John, the text mentions something specific that changes everything: the wagons. Genesis 45 verse 27 says, when he saw the wagons Joseph sent to carry him, his spirit revived.
The wagons. That's the modern mirror right there, Steph. In that culture, you didn't just hop in a wagon for a trip to the grocery store. These weren't your average farm carts. These were Egyptian egala, official, state-sponsored, royal interest transport.
So, like, royal limos?
Better. Think a fleet of government-issued bulletproof SUVs with the flags on the hood, or a private jet with the Pharaoh's seal on the tail. Seeing those wagons was the verified blue checkmark on the story. Jacob knew his sons couldn't have faked that. That kind of technology didn't just exist in the Canaanite desert. It was the physical proof that Joseph was exactly who they said he was. It wasn't just a "hey, come visit" invite. It was a "I am the vizier of the world's superpower, and I'm sending my personal security detail to pick you up."
I love that. It's like God knew Jacob needed a visual to believe the impossible. But then they start the move. Jacob is 130 years old. Moving house is stressful enough when you're 30 and moving across town. He's moving his whole world. 11 sons, dozens of grandkids, massive flocks, and he's leaving the promised land.
And that's the massive context piece we have to hit. Jacob stops at Beersheba. Now, why stop there? It's on the southern border of Canaan. It's the last stop before you hit the point of no return. And Jacob is scared. We know he's scared because God shows up in a vision and says, Jacob, Jacob, do not be afraid to go down to Egypt.
Why would he be afraid, though? Joseph is there. He's going to be rich.
Because his family has Egypt trauma, Steph. Think about it. His grandfather Abraham went to Egypt during a famine and almost lost his wife. His father Isaac was explicitly forbidden by God to go to Egypt during a famine. Jacob's whole life has been about the land. If he leaves Canaan, is he leaving the promise? Is he walking into a trap? He's basically asking God, are we still following your GPS, or have I taken a wrong turn?
I think we all feel that when a too good to be true opportunity comes up. Is this a blessing, or is this a distraction?
Exactly. And God gives him what we call the fear not oracle. It's a 4-part formula. God identifies himself, says, don't be afraid, explains why the situation looks scary, and then gives the promise. God tells him, I will go down with you, and I will also surely bring you up again. This is what theologians call manifest presence.
Okay, explain that to me like I'm in 5th grade, John. Manifest presence versus just regular God?
Great question. God is omnipresent, meaning he's everywhere at once, right? He's in Egypt whether Jacob goes or not. But manifest presence is the I am here with you presence. It's the difference between knowing the CEO is in the building and having the CEO sit down in the cubicle right next to you to help you finish the project. God is saying, Jacob, I'm not just waiting for you in Egypt, I'm getting in the wagon with you.
That's so comforting. It's like God is the escort for this whole migration. And speaking of the migration, can we talk about the census in chapter 46? It's a long list of names, and usually our eyes just glaze over. But there is a major hidden gem buried in verse 17.
Oh, you're talking about my favorite part of this whole chapter. Serah Bat Asher.
Yes! In a list of 53 grandsons and all these male heirs, we suddenly get, and their sister, Serah. In the ancient world, you did not list a granddaughter in a genealogy unless she was a total legend.
And boy, according to Jewish tradition, she was. The Midrash, which is like the behind-the-scenes commentary of the ancient rabbis, says Serah was the one who actually broke the news to Jacob about Joseph being alive.
Wait, tell that story. It's so beautiful.
So, the brothers come back, and they're terrified. They know Jacob is old, and his heart is fragile. If they just shout, "Hey, the son you've been mourning for 20 years is the king of Egypt," the shock might literally kill him. So they ask Serah, who was known for being wise and musical. She takes her lyre, which is like a small harp, and she sits near Jacob while he's praying.
She sang it to him?
She sang it. The tradition says she played this gentle, beautiful melody and sang, "Joseph, my uncle, did not die. He lives and rules all the land of Egypt." She basically soft-launched the news into his heart through music so it would revive him instead of stopping him. Jacob was so moved he blessed her, and there are even legends that she lived for hundreds of years, that she was the one who eventually confirmed to Moses that he was the real deal because she remembered the secret passwords Jacob gave Joseph.
I love that. Even in the middle of a massive geopolitical migration, God has room for a granddaughter with a harp to bring healing to a grieving old man.
And that leads us to the big number, 70. The text says 70 people total went down to Egypt. Now, if you're a math person, you might notice some creative accounting going on in the text, adding some people, subtracting others to hit exactly 70. But in the Bible, 70 isn't just a number, it's a symbol of completeness.
So, like a full set?
Exactly. It's the 70 nations of the world from Genesis 10. God is saying the entire covenant family is now safely in Egypt. Every single covenant bearer is protected. It's like a massive security sweep where the late agent says all assets are accounted for. The package is secure.
I love your secret agent analogies, John, but it really sets the stage, doesn't it? They've left the land, they've crossed the border, and they are about to meet the most powerful man on earth. But before we get to that awkward family dinner with Pharaoh, we need to take a quick break.
Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to talk about why the brothers had to tell Pharaoh they were abominations and why that was the smartest thing they ever did.
We'll be right back. And we are back. Hope you've got your second cup of coffee ready because we are diving into one of the most brilliant and, let's be honest, kind of weird career coaching moments in the entire Bible.
Oh, it's the ultimate career strategy session, Steph. We're looking at Genesis 46, verse 31 through 47, is 6. Picture the scene. The brothers have just arrived in Egypt. They're exhausted. They've got their kids, their flocks, their entire lives packed into those royal wagons we talked about. And Joseph pulls them aside for a quick huddle before they meet the big boss, Pharaoh.
It's like a pre-interview briefing in the lobby of a Fortune 500 company. Joseph is the senior VP, and he's telling his country cousins how to not embarrass him in front of the CEO.
Exactly. But here's the kicker. Joseph tells them, when Pharaoh asks you what you do for a living, tell him you've been keepers of livestock since your youth. Tell him your fathers did the same. Why? Because, as the Bible explicitly tells us, every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians.
Okay, wait. John, that sounds like terrible advice. If I'm going into a job interview, I'm not going to lead with, by the way, I do that one thing you find physically repulsive. That's like a how to get fired manual. Why would Joseph want them to look like abominations to the people they're about to live with?
It sounds like social suicide, right? But it's actually a modern mirror for one of the most genius moves in redemptive history. Joseph isn't trying to make them fit in. He's trying to make them stand out in a very specific way. He's looking for the Goshen Strategy.
Okay, explain that. Why did the Egyptians hate shepherds so much? Was it just a city people versus country people thing?
Oh, it was way deeper than that, Steph. It was a perfect storm of three things: religion, economics, and history. First, the religious side. And this is where the modern mirror gets really vivid. Egyptians worshipped several animals associated with livestock. Think about the Apis bull or Khnum, the ram-headed god. To an Egyptian, a cow or a sheep wasn't just dinner. It was a physical manifestation of a deity.
So, wait, if the Israelites are shepherds, they're raising and eating the Egyptian gods?
You nailed it. Imagine walking into a high-level vegan convention with a portable barbecue and a side of brisket. That's the level of abomination we're talking about. The Egyptians had these intense purity laws. Priests had to be meticulously shaved, take ritual baths, the whole 9 yards. Shepherds? They were constantly around dung, blood, and slaughter. To the Egyptian elite, shepherds were ceremonially gross.
Okay, so they're the unwashed sand wanderers of the ancient world.
Precisely. And then there's the economic side. Egypt was the land of order, or Mayat. Their whole world was based on the precise irrigation of the Nile. Nomadic shepherds were a nightmare for that system. Free grazing flocks would trample dikes, eat the young shoots, and destroy the irrigation channels. They were viewed as an economic liability.
And don't forget the history, right? I read something about shepherd kings.
The Hyksos. Even if this was before their main rule, the Egyptians had a long, bitter history of being invaded by Semitic tribes from the east. Pastoralists they called sand wanderers. So, a large clan of shepherds arriving was like a massive security threat arriving at the border.
So if Joseph knows all this, why lean into it? Why not say, hey guys, tell Pharaoh you're actually, I don't know, expert stonemasons?
Because Joseph wanted them in Goshen. This is the modern mirror for remote work or a specialized district. Imagine a small, family-run tech startup with a totally unique startup culture. Let's say they have values that are totally different from the mainstream. Now, a massive global conglomerate buys them out. They want to move everyone into the giant glass tower in the city, put them in the uniform, and have them attend the same pagan-style office parties.
And if they do that, the startup's unique culture is dead in 6 months.
Exactly. So the founder, Joseph, negotiates a Goshen deal. He says, listen, we're actually better at remote work in our own specialized office. In fact, you guys might find our office annoying or different from how you do things here. By emphasizing the very thing that made them abominations to the Egyptians, Joseph ensured they got their own walled garden.
So their rejection was actually their protection.
Boom. That's the takeaway. If they had been acceptable to the Egyptians, they would have been absorbed into the Egyptian lifestyle. They would have started worshiping the bull gods and the cat gods. They would have lost the covenant. But because they were abominations, they were kept separate. They were quarantined for growth.
And what does Goshen even mean? Does it have a special meaning in Hebrew?
It does. Most scholars say it means drawing near or approaching. Isn't that beautiful? In the place of their rejection by the world, they were actually drawing near to God. It was a place of refuge and prosperity where they could flourish without being influenced by a toxic environment.
So being canceled by the Egyptians was actually God's VIP pass for them to stay distinct.
Totally. It's the cultural shield. And think about the location, the northeast Nile Delta. It was the best of the land for flocks, but geographically removed from the Egyptian religious and political heartland. It was like having the best real estate in the city, but having a giant no-entry sign that only applied to the people you didn't want influencing your kids.
I love that. It's such a word for us today. We spend so much energy trying to be liked or relevant or accepted by the culture around us. We want to be cool Christians, but maybe God is saying, hey, I actually want you to be a shepherd. I want you to have values that look a bit abominable to the world, because that's the only way I can keep you pure and help you grow into the nation I've called you to be.
It's about kingdom immunity. When we try to blend in, we lose the very power that makes us a blessing. Joseph knew that. He wasn't ashamed of his family. He was protecting the brand of the covenant.
Protecting the brand. I like that. So the brothers go in, they say the lines, and Pharaoh's like, great, put them in Goshen. And hey, if they're good at what they do, put them in charge of my royal livestock too.
He recognizes the Joseph-level excellence even in a low-class job. It's a total favor over prejudice moment.
It's like the world says, I hate what you stand for, but I can't deny the quality of your work.
Exactly. And that sets the stage for the most awkward, yet most powerful diplomatic summit in ancient history. Because next, Joseph is going to bring in the 130-year-old shepherd patriarch himself to stand before the divine king of Egypt.
I can't wait to see how that goes. But we are going to take a quick break here to let that Goshen strategy sink in.
Stick around. When we come back, we're going to see why the lesser actually blessed the greater, and what that means for how you walk into your next meeting with your boss.
We'll be right back. And we are back from our second break. If you're just joining us, the wagons have arrived, the family is settled in Goshen, and now we are walking into the palace for the main event. John, I've been waiting for this. Joseph is bringing his 130-year-old shepherd father to meet the most powerful man on the planet. This is like the ultimate bring your parent to work day, but on a global scale.
Oh, it's even bigger than that, Steph. This is a clash of kingdoms in the best way possible. You have Pharaoh, the great house, who is literally worshipped as a god, and you have Jacob, the spiritual king of the covenant line. And I love the way the text sets this up. Joseph doesn't just introduce them, he stands him before Pharaoh. It's a formal presentation, and the very first thing that happens is, well, it's wild. Genesis 47 verse 7 says, "And Jacob blessed Pharaoh."
Okay, wait. Let's pause right there. John, we talked about blessings earlier, but help us understand the power dynamic here. Usually, the lesser person, the immigrant, the one asking for help, doesn't walk in and start blessing the king, right? That's like me walking into a meeting with the CEO of a global tech giant and saying, "Hey, I hope you have a really productive day. Let me pray for your success." It feels a little bold.
A little bold? It's a total power flip. The author of Hebrews actually comments on this later, saying, "Beyond all contradiction, the lesser is blessed by the better." In the eyes of the world, Jacob was the lesser. He was a starving refugee with no home. But in the eyes of God, Jacob was the better, because he carried the Barak, the divine favor of the living God.
So, what does that word Barak actually mean? Is it just a good luck wish?
Great question. The 5th grade rule for today. Barak literally means to kneel or to bestow favor. It's more than just a nice thought. When Jacob blesses Pharaoh, he's acting as an ambassador of the King of Kings. He's saying, "Pharaoh, you've been kind to my son and my family, so I am invoking the favor of the creator of the universe over your life and your kingdom." It's the highest thank you gift anyone could ever give.
That is so cool. Jacob knows his value isn't in his bank account or his title. It's in who he belongs to. But then Pharaoh asks that common question, how many are the days of the years of your life? And John, you told me earlier that Pharaoh wasn't just being polite. He was genuinely shocked.
Oh, he was in astonished awe, Steph. Archaeology tells us that for an ancient Egyptian, 110 years was considered the absolute peak of a blessed life. Joseph actually lives to 110, which was like the Egyptian gold standard. So, when Pharaoh sees this 130-year-old man standing there, he's looking at a walking miracle. He's probably thinking, what kind of God does this man serve that keeps him alive this long?
But Jacob's answer is well, it's a bit of a downer, isn't it? He says his days have been few and evil. Is he just being a grumpy old man?
I used to think so, but it's actually a modern mirror for the concept of pilgrimage. The Hebrew word he uses is gurai, which means sojourning or living as a resident alien. Jacob is saying, Pharaoh, compared to the eternal promise, 130 years is just a blip. And yeah, it's been a rough ride. I've dealt with deceit, loss, and famine, but I'm just passing through.
That is such a perspective shift. I'm just a traveler. It reminds me that even when our lives feel few and evil or full of travails, we aren't at our final destination. We're in our sojourn.
Exactly. Jacob is the ultimate digital nomad of faith. He has the best land in Goshen, but his heart is still looking toward the promised land. And that brings us to the logistics of how they survived those next 5 years of famine. While the Israelites are growing in Goshen, Joseph is basically nationalizing the rest of Egypt to keep the nation from collapsing.
This is the part that sounds a little intense to us today. Joseph buys the money, then the livestock, then the land, and then even the people's labor. It sounds like he's being a bit of a corporate raider.
I know. It sounds like a total monopoly move. But here's the context we have to remember. This was a survival mode economy. The private sector had completely died because of the famine. If Joseph hadn't stepped in to centralize everything, the people wouldn't have just been poor. They would have been dead. He wasn't exploiting them. He was preserving them.
And the people actually thanked him for it. They said, "You have saved our lives."
They did. And here's the kicker. Joseph implemented a permanent 20% tax, 1/5 of everything they grew. He gave them seed and said, go farm the land. You keep 80% to feed your families and build your lives, and 20% goes to the crown to ensure we never have another famine-related disaster like this again.
Honestly, 20% sounds like a dream to most of us during tax season.
Right? It was a masterclass in crisis management. Joseph used his worldly wisdom, chokmah, to build a system that allowed the nation to weather the storm while his own family flourished in Goshen. It shows us that God can use worldly systems, like taxes and land deals, to provide for his people in ways we never expected.
That is so encouraging. Even the evil days and the famine seasons are being managed by a God who sees the big picture. John, this has been such an incredible dive into the move to Egypt. Before we wrap up, what's the text message summary for day 17?
Here it is. God's presence turns your temporary sojourn into a protected sanctuary where you can flourish even when the world is in a famine.
Send it. That is a word for somebody today. Thank you so much for joining us on Bible in a Year, making it easier to understand. We are so glad you're on this journey with us.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us reach more modern seekers like you.
And that's a wrap on today's podcast.
He's where the
Thank
joy
you all
is.
so much for joining us
See
and
ya.
diving deep with us.
We truly value your time and love walking through these chapters together. Your support means the world.
If you've enjoyed this episode, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a day. Drop a comment below. We'd absolutely love to hear how Modern Mirrors is opening your eyes to the text in fresh ways.
Join us tomorrow for another inspiring journey into the Word of the Lord. Until then, God bless you abundantly.